breathing, walking, talking, moving miracles. I'm a living, breathing, walking, talking, moving miracles. People said I never, they said I never ever, but stop, look, watch, 'cause I
am. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my personal narrative. I decided to do it via pictures, via music, via my voice, so that I could put the emphasis and the expression in telling the story that analyzes my personal journey to where I am and being a change agent. So, this is my grandmother, Amelia. She hails from the South, but she and my grandfather, John, made their roots in Philadelphia, where they established a very successful vegetarian restaurant business called Patterson's Paradise. My grandmother has passed, my grandfather is still living, and they are a part of who I am. That is my grandfather, Jesse, and my grandmother, Beatrice. My grandmother, Beatrice, had quite a green thumb. She could make anything grow and live, and she made the best grape juice from the grapes in her garden. Summers spent with her and with my other grandparents in Philadelphia. Jesse and Beatrice lived in Youngstown, Ohio. Those are my parents, Ronnie and Janice, and there I am, the little schmooka. Oh, look at me again. Why did my mom always have that twist coming down into my face? I had a lot of pictures like that. And there is my sister, Shalisha, my sister, who looks absolutely beyond thrilled to be in this picture with me. I have lived quite a few places. I set my roots down in Washington, D.C., born in Georgetown Hospital, and I've taken quite a stroll around the area. Born in D.C., lived in Adelphi, Sandy Spring, Rockville, back to Sandy Spring, now in Silver Spring, Maryland. I remember living in these row houses, 12th Place, D.C. No, they did not look like that when I lived there. I think the word is called gentrification. My father lived and worked in this neighborhood. We lived in this house for free because my father worked for a church who supported people in the neighborhood who had drug addictions. And so there were a lot of crack houses on the street, but I don't remember that. I just remember loving living there. That was my first house that I remember. We then moved to Adelphi and then to Rockville to some apartments. And so I did some apartment living for quite a while. Then to Sandy Spring, where we had land galore, 7 acres that we were renting a house on. And we loved living out there, meeting the deer and the goat that our neighbor had every morning. And so my growing up living was rural and suburban and urban, and I actually enjoyed it very much. When you talk about culture playing an experience in schooling education, I automatically think of George E. Peters' Seventh-day Adventist School, where I attended from grade 1 through grade 8, and I can truly say that G.E. Peters, G.E. Peters, G.E. Peters, you helped make a difference in me. That is our chorus of our alma mater, and this school definitely shaped me beyond what I could ever imagine. It was a private school, all African American students and African Caribbean students, all African American teachers. This was the place where in first grade we were memorizing Langston Hughes' Mother to Son. Well, son, I tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It has tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpets on the floor. We memorized poetry of African American authors. We learned the entire children's version of Handel's Messiah and would perform it at Christmas from memory. We were raised to be so culturally conscious. After we pledged allegiance to the flag, which I think I stopped doing in 3rd grade for some reason, we would sing, "Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty," the Black national anthem. It was a place that really instilled in me that my Black was beautiful, that my culture was important. It was a religious school, and so we were taught that God created us to be who we were and that we had a purpose in life. I absolutely loved every moment of George E. Peters Elementary School. My BFF Shawanda in 3rd grade changed her name to Shawanda X because that's when the movie from Malcolm X came out, and we said, "We don't know where we're from, we're going to be X." I remember in 4th grade doing so many art projects. I remember in 5th grade, one of the girls in my class stole all the crayons out of everyone's desk. Just so many memories. And all of these people I am lifelong friends with. I sing with them. I go to church with them. I stay in touch with them. And this school really instilled in me the sense of family. My mother even worked there, and when I got sent to the office, she would act like she did not know me and keep about her business, and I'd have to go in and see the principal. But it was truly a place that culture was built up in us, and we were taught to know that we had a purpose. And I think for me, it has shaped who I am extremely. And I am so excited that now my niece, Zara, is a student at George E. Peters Elementary School. She'd probably say, "Mama, why'd you put that picture up?" And she is getting the rich experience that I was able to get. I have read much about Brown versus Board of Education, and there's some commentary that says Brown versus Board did not necessarily do justice to the Black students' educational experience. And I often wonder how students would benefit if at such an early age they had a chance to be immersed in their race and culture through an educational experience in order to build a strong racial identity. That's not to the exclusion of knowing and learning and socializing and loving other races and cultures, but I do know that I was able to tap into my cultural capital. And that's why I think it's so important that all individuals be able to reflect on their race and their culture and the capital that they bring. It is a confidence booster. It is a way to see how we're all connected. It is just something that I would not trade in the world, that experience of my early education. And it just makes me speechless. I'm so thankful to my parents for their sacrifices to give me that example and that experience. I attended Tacoma Academy for high school. It was a multicultural high school. The teaching staff was multicultural. That is where I first built my more diverse network of friends, I would say, of all cultures. It was a large Indian population, a large white population, African American, Asian, and I became very good friends and very good classmates with many people who I keep in touch with till today. It was also a place where I experienced some dissonance and where my consciousness, I wouldn't want to say got me in trouble, but it didn't make things easy. I had a history teacher who would put up current events, and all of his events were about men and white men. And I wrote a note to a friend asking when he was going to put something up about women and Black people. He intercepted the note and went on a tirade to get me kicked out of the National Honor Society. He photocopied the note and passed them out to the teachers. And I was like, wow, this is what happens when you speak truth. My parents were supportive. They said, you know, you shouldn't have been passing notes in class. And I was like, yeah, but it was what I said was meaningful, so to speak. And they understood and they respected that. But that was a very interesting experience at Tacoma Academy. Other than that, it provided me with a well-roundedness that I needed for life. Lakewood University, an HBCU in Huntsville, Alabama for undergrad, and Howard University for grad school, another HBCU. And I had a professor tell me, don't go to another HBCU if you're interested in doing your doctorate. I'm still parsing through that advice. I will be doing my doctorate. Whoever's paying me will get my presents. But I am thankful for my rich experience. When I think of challenges or obstacles that I had to face, I can't really pinpoint a specific obstacle that I had to face based on my race or my gender, my class, my sexual orientation. I do remember an obstacle based off of my religion. I do observe Sunset Friday to Sunset Saturday as a time that I set apart. I put work aside. I put my mind on serving and helping others and focusing on the goodness of the Lord. So I go to church. I do a lot of music and singing and leading in worship. And on Saturday, it's just a day to focus and to rest from the day-to-day of everything. I auditioned for a play. I love acting and singing. And I auditioned for a play, and my sister and I, both of us, and we got the role. But the caveat was that we had to perform on Saturday and Saturdays. And we were exempted from that, or we couldn't participate because of our religious commitment and our commitment to keeping the seventh day holy. And that was one of the first times that I actually felt different, but I did not see it as a deficit or something that caused me to want to remove myself from identifying with that religious choice that I had made. I think the most significant event in my life related to race may not be a specific event, but I think it is my consciousness overall. It's been a challenge being conscious from an early age. Everywhere I went, I saw examples and manifestations of what Frederick Douglass calls the indelible stain of slavery that is in the fabric of American society. And at a young age, I would wonder why and how and when will it stop? And at my still young age, I am asking why and when and how will it stop? I know more about the why, and I feel like I have a charge to be a part of answering the when will it stop. I have a part in educating young people to be aware like I was. I have a part in playing in educating adults to be conscious and to reflect, not approaching them in a deficit way that you don't know anything about race and culture and this is why this is going on. But what if you did know a little bit more? And what if you did use it as a lens? What would happen? And how could we turn things around? How can we purposefully be anti-racist educators? I see the greater challenge for me is harnessing the consciousness, being balanced, not letting it be overwhelming. James Baldwin said to be Black in America is to be in a constant state of rage. And I don't want to live in a constant state of rage, but I have to live in a constant state of consciousness. And with that sometimes comes righteous anger, and with that comes responsibility. And learning to balance is a must. I have to be conscious that I don't become toxic inside. Glenn Singleton talks about those who do anti-racist work, social justice work, run the risk of exposing themselves to so much toxins that they in turn become toxic inside. And I remember when I first started teaching, someone told me, if you're no good to yourself, you're no good to others. And so finding that balance is a struggle that I am glad to be on. I'm aware, and I'm going to work to make sure that I am balanced in my mind and body and spirit. Do I believe that the knowledge and skills to educate all students already exists in education? I believe it has to because there are students like my Ladies of Grace who you're looking at, young ladies that I mentor in Montgomery County Public Schools. They're still there, and they need educators who are aware of them as individuals and who are conscious of how race and culture impact their lives. I think that our county has the memo power on lock. And I think we're moving towards the stage where we're putting our money in our mouth where our memo is. And that takes persistence, and it takes consciousness, and it takes moments of discomfort, but it is worth it. It's worth it because these young ladies who, from time to time, I thought that I was going to have to go mama on them, and you see how I'm looking at that one over there. But these young ladies are themselves conscious of race and culture. And I want to end my reflection by letting you hear their voices, because they are the reason that I'm staying in the work, that I'm committing to this equity and excellence in education journey. And they are the reason that I got into teaching, and they're the reason that I'm going to stay in education in one way or another to support my colleagues. As I spoke with the group that day, we were talking about the situation in Baltimore and the riots and what they were feeling about race and culture. And I don't want them to lose hope. I don't want them to give up. And if there's any place where they should feel encouraged and should feel that they have a voice and feel that they matter, it's in education. And so that is why I'm committed to this work. That is why I'm committed to supporting my colleagues in being the best that they can be for all students, specifically students who are marginalized, our students of color. So listen to their voices, and thank you for indulging this format of my personal narrative.
So do you ever feel like it'll ever end, or that you can do anything about it?
No, I don't think.
I think so.
You think so?
I feel like as long as people have different colors, there's always going to be that type of thought. Even if you don't voice your opinion, there's always going to be that thought, like, their skin is light, their skin is dark, like, and just the fact that we had this system for like a long time of race, it's not going to go right.
It's stuck in some people's minds, like they're raised
yeah.
like that. And
Yeah,
they
you're
have to
raised like
dislike black people because of the color of their skin or how they. All black
Right.
people, they have a title as being ghetto. That's every
not
black.
true.
Most.
really not
That's
true.
what all white people call
Perception.
black people is ghetto. That's their definition of black people: ghetto, loud, all of that. How do you change that if that's what's stuck in their mind? You can't change
But
it.
that's the
But
thing.
you can't
But that's
change
not
it.
all black people.
You can't
are
change
like
the
that.
stereotype
I
that's
know,
been in
the-
their
that's
minds
that's
for 60s
stereotype.
and thousands
But
of
you know what you
years.
can do?
That's
That's
proven
prejudice.
wrong. That you can do.
Exactly.
But you can.
But
But
still,
they
you
kinda
have-
have-
Even if you
wrong,
prove
they
them
just
wrong,
think
they're
so.
still gonna think
Think
that.
Like when I went to
Yeah,
West,
They're
stop
not
somebody
gonna get
thinking.
that. It's like a habit. It's not gonna.
That's
out
like
their mind
having
just
to brushing your
because
teeth
they're
every
wrong.
morning.
Yeah,
like when I went to West Virginia, they
Kenny's
call
be
that
coming
shit-
up with the left hand round the corner metaphors.
But I mean, yeah.
But you think there is a way to? Well, I want to hear more what you're saying about proving them wrong.
Like when people call you ghetto, then don't act ghetto. Or
But
just be
ghetto-
yourself. It
this
doesn't
is the
matter.
thing. Ghetto is not a personality.
Ghetto's a
Ghetto
place.
is- Ghetto is a place.
Exactly.
Do y'all know where the word ghetto started from?
Ghetto
Ghetto
is
started from the white.
a place.
No, they
Ghetto
started
is
from
the
the
Holocaust. The
Yep.
Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jewish
And
people
and they're
ghetto.
Very
Caucasian,
good.
right? In the Holocaust.
Yeah, they were European, so they were right.
Yeah.
And it was just an area
And
where
they're
they
black,
made
and they're calling us ghetto.
right.
You live in
We
projects.
could call
And that's not true.
Right.
Because I don't live in the project.
Actually prosper. Like that's the thing. And they said this. They put us in this mindset that this is all we can be. Like that's why half of us don't even try sometimes. It's just like whatever. I'm just gonna put this off.
I was wondering if like what goes on affects how you think about your future or like your motivation.
I think
No, I
don't
think
it
it
because the white
affects
people
it.
might teach their kids to grow up.
And hate
and
us.
learn, yeah.